Right, who else we got? Hey, Michael, nice to see you. Good, good, good. We're just waiting for Nick. Nick. Right, lovely to see you.
It's like 8 degrees here, Fahrenheit. Pretty cold.
Wow, yeah. Isn't it just, hey, Nick. Good to see you.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, I had to push everybody aside. I said, I'm not missing class today.
Excellent. I love your training room. You guys have all got fantastic places to train. This is great.
Yeah, Mike Rupert, I have to make a trip up there one day.
Yeah, I'm the one looking bad here. You guys have all got your fantastic setups.
Oh, look at you. Wow, nice, Nick.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Likewise.
Nice.
I love your space. Are you hosting classes there?
No, It's just me, myself, and I.
Wow.
Fantastic. Well, Nick, you should be doing the same.
Definitely enjoying. Definitely enjoying.
Great.
Like
okay, then. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
I'm saying I like Nick's colors.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So do we have any questions before we start? Anything in particular you'd like to cover? Or are we okay to train?
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So been taking a look again at the Biu Mar stepping, and just kind of thinking. Oh yeah, you had me on video there, right?
Yeah.
So if we're stepping through, if I'm facing an attacker from any side, I can make that adjustment unless they're coming from this side. So is my only way to do that arrow stepping and then turn, or how do I do my arrow stepping, because I'm not supposed to go front foot to front foot.
Yeah.
How do I do that arrow stepping to move to that position?
All right, that's a great question. I'm going to delete you all if I may. Then delete you. I'm not going to delete you. Mute you all. Yeah, exactly. You want to see the actions that Michael's making there. Right. Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. I will talk about this if I may, because this is a really good point, and it's valid. You guys have all got fantastic space to be able to train your Biu Mar. There's a few things. We're in the assessment season at the moment, the assessment period, and so I've been looking at a few different people giving me the Biu Mars to have a little look at, and there's kind of a bit of a consistency going on with certain elements which I'll address, but then I also want to give a bit of detail on the Biu Mar as well. So the first thing I'm going to say is, for anyone that's kind of wanting to do any assessments or any gradings or anything like that, when we're looking at Biu Mar, it's your ability to kind of flow with that kind of footwork, and your competence with that understanding as well. So that if we were doing this kind of in an assessment setup, then we'd be looking at a normal stance. And then if I'm going to put a leg forward, I'll put my right leg forwards. This is no different to if I'm going to do midsection kicks, in as far as I'm going to have to prepare the foot to be the back foot position, and then I can move across and in. Right, few things I kind of want to share with this. The first thing I would say on this is, again, I'm trying to keep things together and not fly off on different tangents. When we're doing the kicks, if my toes are turned in, the way that I ask for the midsection kicks is because I kind of look at, or I like to look at extremes. You know, it's like, for instance, when we train with energy, I want you to push yourself as strong as you can. Go right to that end of that spectrum, and then focus on the absolute understanding of nothingness when we look at relaxation. So we can get a full spectrum of this, and then, you know, if you find some way in the middle, great, we're balanced. And that's the same with the kicks. In as far as when I ask and when we train together, of course, not just us, but when we train and do the kicks, we're kind of moving across. So I'm kicking here in front of me. Then I'm going to move across and I'm kicking here in front of me, not to the same target. Like if we're doing turning punches, we're punching the same target. The target hasn't moved, you have, we know this. Whoa, get out of the way. In reality, we can argue the thought that if somebody's in front of me, boom, I'm just going to kick from where I am. And that would kind of make sense in one sense. So if a person is in front of me and I want to go to them from this stance, then I'm just going to kick straight in. So I'm transferring the weight a little bit, allowing me to do the kick. Now, if I use that kind of Biu Mar principle, I might only move my foot out a little bit, and I'm going to kick to this central. So if we're standing in front of a wooden dummy, I could kick the dummy and that's fine. Now, if I put my foot down there, this is pretty much justified as a back foot position for Biu Mar, for me facing this direction. It only moved a little bit. Again, on the other side, if I transferred my weight, I'm going to turn the foot a little bit, kick into the, because remember as well, when we're on the wooden dummy, I would say it's a tree. And by that, I mean that when we're moving to the dummy, that's representing the dummy moving to us. So in this case, I don't need to try and reach forwards. This is going to be much closer because somebody is stepping into me. I've transferred the weight a little bit. I'm going to kick to the same point, and that positioning of the back foot kind of justifies my moving that back foot only a little bit. The extreme of this is where I would want to have the toes turned in, a good Yi Kim Yun Ma, and I'm going to move the foot right out. The reason it's all the way out is because this back foot position for Biu Mar here is the same back foot position for Chun Ma here, turning stance. I did a blog this week, so I won't do too much on that. But this idea is two targets. I'm going to kick to this target, exaggerating this. I'm going to move across and I'm going to kick to this target. And the reason for that is that I'm not kicking. I want to kind of avoid the old, you know, start spreading the news. We're not kind of doing one of these kind of big Broadway, exactly. We're not doing a Broadway show. So I might kick to a central point. That's completely justified. And we see this in section 8 of the dummy, this kind of boom, kick together. So why am I going across there? Well, if I'm pushed here and I land, I'm going to create kind of a triangle with my feet. I'm not going to land usually and have the foot far out. I'm not usually going to step back to this extreme. If I'm pushed a little bit, my foot will land betwixt and between, and it kind of creates this, the third point of this triangle on the floor. So I'm pushed a little bit, my foot lands, and then I kick from a Biu Mar principle in front of me. So in looking at this as like training the wooden dummy, that I'm moving to the dummy because the dummy would move to me, instead of me being pushed so the back foot has moved to there, I'm going to move across to where the back foot is already for this principle. So this is kind of, you know, I might have a little bit of room to the side to drill this. I may not have the room behind me to drill this, you know, so it's sometimes it's kind of a convenience. But also, I kind of ask these things and look at these extremes because I just want to see your, again, your competence and your ability to be able to do this. It's a skill set. And that's kind of, you know, when we're looking at the third section of Chum Q, we get to here, we do the kick. That kick, when we turn, whoop, what am I doing? When I do that kick, ironically now what I'm about to say, that kick is showing balance and control at that level. He says, falling into a toy box. Flipping it. Anyway, so that's the purpose. When we're doing the kick here, the idea is that, you know, you're just showing that you've got a bit of control and balance. And it's kind of a show off. It's those kind of extremes. Now, Biu Mar, so I'm connecting the Biu Mar stance to how we train the kicks. That's the connection I'm showing there first of all. The next thing that I kind of want to say with this is that when we're getting on the Biu Mar itself, even when we open our stance, why are we moving the foot across and forwards? Because that might seem a little bit odd to move across and forwards. When we take on board that principle that Wing Chun is meant to look at the shortest distance between 2 points, well, if that's the case, shouldn't I prepare the foot and go straight into this? prepare the back foot and move straight in. In theory, yes, but there could be obstacles there. I could be stood in front of a table at this point, so I want to move around that table. I want to move around that obstacle. It might be that somebody steps in, and as they step in, that is blocking my path, their leg stepping in. So it might be that I move around, bang, and then in, like in section 1 and 2 of the dummy. I move across a little bit, bang, and in. So we're training ourselves that understanding that we can move around should we need to. So that's the next little addition. I've kind of forgotten your question now because I'm going, I don't need to ask it just yet. But these are kind of all the steps and stages of Biu Mar. So what I'm looking at is when we do the kicks, I want to look at why we turn that foot out initially, because of its connection with Biu Mar and Chun Mar. I also want to explain why we kick into these two targets, why I'm going right across to here. And again, in reality, I might just kick straight in. That's fine. If I'm going to it, fine. If it has come to me, it may have created a back foot. So I'll say that to justify this next bit. I'm moving across because, again, I want to train the extremities of Biu Mar and understand that that can be a position for the kicks. I then want to justify the path I'm taking in order to get to that extremity. Why have I brought in before going out? Why am I not going straight across? Because there may be an obstacle. It could be stationary, like a table or chair. It could be live, active, like somebody, whoa, stepping in, I'm going to move around. So, you know, with this, we have this same feeling. So that's all of that is how we're going to get into the Biu Mar. Now, when we're stepping with Biu Mar, I know what, I remember, of course, what your question was. It was that strange angle. But this is the thing, one of the things I've seen a lot. So if you guys are practicing Biu Mar with punches, what I kind of want to remind you is that it's not always the lead hand, because I see this quite a lot. Let's see if I can put another light on here. Let's see if that's going to help at all. So people kind of often use that same hand, this same hand forward. When we turn, if I do a turning stance, I'm turning hips 45 degrees to 45 degrees. This, looking at the screen, means I'm turning stance, Chun Mar. If I want to look to this way, I've only changed my focus, not my hips. So there's a bit of a twist on the midsection, but this is now Biu Mar. And again, this is now Biu Mar. I'm going to turn my shoulders all the way across to there for Biu Mar, but my hips will stop at their checkpoint at the 45 degrees, and my shoulders continue. My shoulders go all the way through, the hips will stop at the 45-degree checkpoint. That sounds a little bit odd as well. I don't want to get to there and then continue. My upper torso, like with the Paijans, remember the two things, fast and stable? They should set off and finish together, which means what I'm not going to do, Michael Delgado, just notice your front leg straight on that one. Do keep a bend, good bend on, yeah, bend on both knees. I just saw that. We kind of need to think, if I'm going to turn together, I'm not going to turn my upper body and then the legs, upper body and then the legs. I'm not going to turn my legs and then the upper body, because apart from that looking weird, it's odd. I'm going to move together. And when I do it together, when I start together and finish together, it is twice as fast as moving the upper body first. Doing it now twice as fast, sometimes, whoa, can make you feel a little bit odd. That's why, again, Mr. D, we bend our knees, and this will make it stable. So that's the two words that Sifu Yip-Chun is always emphasizing on this, fast and stable. So I'm going to turn fast and stable. I'm going to think of my legs going, and as soon as my legs set off, so will my hands, but they'll finish together. Forget the Paijan, and let's look at the focus. So this is a Biu Mar to Biu Mar. If that's the case, if I'm able to, I'll do it this way to you guys. If I'm able to turn here and have both of my arms the same, then my punches should be the same as well. So this is the common mistake I'm seeing. There's kind of a want to pull your arm back. And this arm pulls back when we get a little bit tired. Oh, and you lift. You lift and your shoulders turn. And that's often why people want to use a snap with the front hand. Bend, I saw it again there, Michael. Bend both knees. Even if you stay at 50-50, that's a lot better. That's really good. Keep the shoulders square and just punch, punch, punch. So every time when we're punching, Same, shoulders square. I'm going forward. Shoulders are going to stay square on, so my punches remain the same. So I've kind of spent quite a bit of time on that, but my point was, the purpose was, I wanted to explain the principles behind the stance, not necessarily the step, but the stance, how we got into it, why we got into it, and I'm working from the ground up. We looked at the shape, the back foot position is out, how we turn it all together, and what finishes on the first floor, on the top deck here, with the shoulders square. So when we punch, single punches is a good way to train this with 3 punches. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and make sure that your shoulders just feel very comfortable and relaxed, because we've done nothing different with the shoulders. That's it, Michael. That's very good. Yeah. As for the stepping, now we get to the question. Now we get to the crux of it. That's kind of distracting me a little bit. When we do our stepping, if I was teaching a class, if I give a count, I would say every time you hear a count, that's going to be a shuffle. So if we're going forward with punches and you hear 1, it's a shuffle. 2, step through. If I step through, then in this case, I'm going to open the gate and I'm going to step through. When I step through again, front foot moves in preparation to be the back foot. So I'm going to open the gate and I'm going to step through. Notice the shoulders never change. I'm not rocking. If I'm going backwards, I'm going to step back through. My front foot will step back through as I would if I was walking backwards. It's going to land turned out. It's going to land in a preemptive back foot position, and I'm going to allow the gate to close after. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to close the gate after. So if I go forwards, I open the gate and I step through. If I don't open that gate, you're going to trip over your foot, aren't you? So it's at no point really. And you know, this is one of the beautiful things of explaining this. When people struggle with it and they kind of turn it, because I get people do this to such an extreme, they'll turn on their toes and then step, turn on their toes. And I'm saying you're thinking too hard. You're really kind of putting a lot of unnecessary effort on this. And the simple way of doing this is that I kind of, so, you know, if you guys pass this on one day, this might work for you. Get them in a strict stance with the toe turned in, get them all set and all happy with this and comfortable. And then say, I tell you what, forget the stance, just come over here. And always, 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 somebody will do this. If you look at my front foot, they'll move the foot a little bit and they will step through. This is a natural walk off. Let's see if I'm going to have a light here. Yeah. So this is a natural walk off. If I've got my front foot here, there's no way that anybody from this position is just going to walk off and leave that foot. You know, you're going to look like Kaiser Shoje. If anyone's seen The Usual Suspects, you know, if you got your foot in there, you're not going to walk off and just leave that foot in. It's not, if you're able to do that, you're not going to leave it. You're not going to be comfortable. The first thing you'll want to do is move it out of the way. So in the same way as we move to step through, when you step back, allow the foot to roll back. So we're going to close the gate after us. So we've gone from shuffles, forwards or backwards, to stepping through, which means the back foot becomes a front foot, or stepping back through where the front foot becomes a back foot. This sounds almost patronizing because it's so obvious. But this is when we start to need to remember that. If I say step through 90 degrees, it's going to be the same principle. My back foot will become my front foot, but I'm going to go through a right angle, a 90-degree corner. So this is how so if I'm looking this way, and I'm going to step through 90, my back foot comes up, I turn and I go forwards this way. If from this position, I'm not looking that way, so just watch what I do here, and I look this way, this is basically my turning stance. What is Biu Mar that way, with my attention this direction, is Chun Mar this way, my hips in between. Remember, it's always the same. So as I look here, if I don't want to lose you on this, if I look at that wall and I step through, back foot becomes my front foot, but it's a step through 90, so I'm going to incorporate the right angle. This is me changing Biu Mar from that wall to that wall. However, if I keep looking at you guys at this wall and I do that same step, this is no different to the kick, which I've just done from my Biu Mar. It's the same principle. If I Biu Mar or if I Biu Mar through. Going back through 90 is the same principle. If we hear back through, then the front foot will become the back foot, but I've heard 90. So my back foot will become my front foot will become my back foot, going through a right angle. And what tends to happen with this, a common mistake, which is why I've kind of built up in stages, and obviously this is on for a week, so please watch it again. What people tend to do a lot of the time is I'll say, step back through 90, and the front foot will remain the front foot. And that's incorrect, because it should become the back foot. And the reason for that is people lose faith in their feeling and they start thinking and they want to see where that foot is. So that would be wrong. So we know what a shuffle is, forwards and back. We know how to step through and back through. We know how to step through on a right angle and back through on a right angle. And incidentally, this is the same as well with the 45 degrees. I'll tell you this little bit. I'll try and do this quickly. In 45 degrees, I'm just going to move my foot a little bit. So to step through, I move the foot all the way across. To step 90, I kind of hardly need to move that at all. To step 45, I'm going to move it a little bit because I'm going to be heading in between. So how do we justify the 45 degrees? Well, I look where I would be going if I was to step through. I look where I would be going if I were to step 90, and the 45 will be in between the two. So that's where I'm going to be heading. And off I go. Top tip. If you're in a room, you've all got perfectly side walls, square rooms, whatever. Remind yourself that you will now constantly be facing on an angle to the corner of the room, stepping through, if going forwards, backwards, stepping through, I'm facing the corner, stepping back through, facing the corner, back through again, I'm still facing the corner. If I were to tell myself I'm going to step 90, don't be distracted by what you see. Remember, this is that thing of like, don't think, feel. So where would I go 90? I'm not going to face a flat wall. I'm going to go to another corner. If I turn, I'm facing that corner. I step through, I'm still on a corner. Back through 90, corner. Only when I hear the 45 degrees will I go from there to there and halfway in between the two. So now I'll step through. So basically, if you were in a class and you hear the call for a 45-degree direction, you will now stop facing flat walls and always be facing to an angle. Angle. You're stepping through and back through. You're shuffling forwards or backwards. You step through 90, you're still facing an angle. Only when we hear that call of a 45 will my attention change from corners to flat walls again. And now everything will be on the flat walls, flat wall, flat wall. Back through 45, I'll change from flat walls to angles. And so I take a moment to kind of watch this again and see if that sinks in. Finally, 20 minutes later, get to next question. Sorry, but again, this is why my seminar's going so long. Okay, I'll do it this way. This leg forwards. I can step through. I can step through 90. I can step through 45 in between the two. But how do I step this way? Because this is like the dead side. How do I get to there? Well, you kind of explained it, Nick, in a way. Now, if we're looking at this in sort of like almost a geometry class, you know, we're keeping nice and straight. Okay, face toward the screen. Then we could step through 90 and turn. And that would be nice, and that's clean. If somebody said, well, how do we apply that into reality? Because that's ridiculous. And it is. You know, if I'm here and it's like, hey, somebody's there, somebody's going to attack me, what do? Step through 90 and I turn. Well, that's just way too big. And also, apart from that, I would have just landed straight onto that punch. Okay, I'm going to step forwards and across and then turn. We'll now just move to a different parallel. In Wing Chun, we have 5 types of footwork, 5 stances. And these 5 will incorporate any footwork that you can possibly think of. We have Yiji Kim Ma, we have Chun Ma, we have Biu Mar, we have Sambok Ma, and we have Hyun Ma. Hyun Ma is basically Sambok Ma, but with a circle, circular stepping. So it starts the same, circles, and finishes the same. Now, in reality of that then, how does that kind of focus with our normal life? Well, the way I'm standing now, I've got my weight toward one leg, a little bend on the other leg. It's effectively a Biu Mar, isn't it? Someone's taken what we do naturally, they've broken this down into some mathematical formula, focused on it a little bit more, put it into some training, and then put it back into normality, put it back into the mix. So that's kind of how we have all of our training. If I'm standing here and somebody puts a hand on my shoulder from behind, I'm not going to just look behind like so, boom, because I might get hit. Somebody grabs my shoulder, I'm going to step away and have a look. Would you guys agree with that? Does that make kind of sense? So if someone grabs my shoulder, I'm not just going to look over my shoulder because I don't know what's there. Someone grabs my, and it's not paranoia. This is just, you know, I feel natural. Somebody grabs my shoulder, I'm going to move back. Yes, can I help you? Looking at that as Wing Chun. In Wing Chun then, what I have is, I've got Yiji Kim Ma. Someone grabs my shoulder. I've got Sambok Ma, Chun Ma, Biu Mar. So this is kind of what's happened at that point, when someone grabs me and turns like so. So going back then, Nick, to your question, if my right leg is forwards in Biu Mar, how do I get that direction? If we're going to take this all geometrically, as I say, we can through 90 and turn. The reality of that, connected with Wing Chun, would be more a case of, if I need to get that side, I'm going to change my footing, and my thinking is now going to go from Biu Mar. And remember, this Biu Mar is also this Biu Mar and this Yiji Kim Ma. Basically, wherever you, the reason why we train these stances is because whichever direction you are attacked or approached, you are already in that stance. For instance, from here, I have Biu Mar, Sambok Ma, Yiji Kim Ma, Sambok Ma, Biu Mar. And the action of that is Chun Ma. So this is what we have. Therefore, I'm going to change this leg again. When somebody comes from the angle of you guys from the screen, my footing is not going to be to try and get across there in some bizarre way. It's going to be a Sambok Ma principle. So I'm just going to step through Sambok Ma and Chun Ma. And that's how you do that. It's very simple. I'm just going to allow the foot to go across and round. Not too dissimilar to the, well, not too dissimilar to what was actually problematic when we had to get around the coffee table that we imagined early on in this discussion. So again, if you've got to put one leg forwards, anybody, whichever leg you want, and then basically you're going to, in order to get to your blind side, your bad side, which, so if you, whichever you've got your lead leg on, it's the outside of that foot. That's so exactly, that's it. Yeah, Rupert, Delgado is your left side. Nick, exactly. In order to do that, the back foot is just going to go the opposite direction, and we allow ourselves a twist. That's really simple. And again, you guys know my methods. The way that I try and teach is I want to explain. Before I could have just said, I'll never do this, so I'm not going to do it. I've not done it for 40 years. If I'm going to step on this, I could have just said to you, just move your foot. That's true. That's the answer, but that's scrappy and it's lacking detail. I want you to know what the stance is, how the stances combine, how they work together, why we do it, connecting that with the reality element. And then I want to start piecing it together, and then I'll give you the breakdown answer and then a simple application. So again, if I'm here and I want to get to the blind side, I'm just going to move my foot across and turn. And that, Nick, you're making it look easy now. Love it. And it is easy, but in a class situation, that kind of looks a little bit lazy. So if I was the teacher and I was trying to get everyone to face that direction with their right leg forward, I wouldn't say, hey, everybody, just drag your left foot across, because it's, you know, a little bit lazy. I would say, okay, from here, we're going to step through 90. Then we'll turn. And now we're in the position that I wanted, that I was searching for. The reality and the more relaxed attitude to that would be, as I say, to just move your foot across and bingo bongo. Well, there you go. Hopefully you're not regretting asking that question, Nick. But that's something that I've not talked about for a long time, a long, long time. It seems to have got really dark in this room. There's lots of light in this, you know. Yeah, so I've not approached that for a long time, so that's why I'm happy to go over that. And I know that there are several people at the moment that were struggling with the punches of Biu Mar. So again, just to recap, whenever we're doing the punches, don't just lead with the front hand. In fact, if ever you do your punches, start with the opposite hand, and that's going to check that the shoulders are in line. There's another thing as well. I will add on this as well. When we step for our kicks, I'm going to prepare the back foot, and I'm saying change the guard, so same guard hand forwards as the kick. Got to change, same guard as your kick. That does not matter. This is important. It really does not matter. When we step through or when we turn, I like everyone to finish same arm, same leg forwards. So if I'm exaggerating this, if you're wondering why I'm not twisted. So my right leg is forwards, my right guard is forwards. If I was to now just do the single count, which are shuffles, we would go forwards 1, 2, 3, 4. If I say step through, as we step through, I would ask that you change your guard. So the same hand, same leg. If we turn, I would want the same hand, same leg. Step through 45, same hand, same leg, like so. So in those particular directions and where they came from, it warranted me having to change my hand. If I were to be in this position and it's shuffles, forwards 1, there's my punch, 2, 3. So at this point, I've got my left leg forwards and I've got my right guard. If I now said step through 90, I wouldn't have to do anything with my hand because it's already there. Now, again, this could be open to question, certainly, and even open to ridicule. But the reason why I do that is because initially it helps me a lot if I've got like lots of people, if there's 20, 30, 50 people, and I can and everyone's doing the same, I can then easily spot where there's imperfections, where things are wrong. So it helps me to know if people have got the right hand or not. And the simple reason is, if I ask you to do something and I want this hand forwards, it doesn't matter. You could have this hand forwards. Of course you could. Absolutely does not matter, in case you wonder that. So, you know, this kind of thing, don't argue with somebody that they're wrong because they're doing the opposite. You know, everything should be open to interpretation. But the reason for that is because I just want to give you something. I'm asking you to do that. And if you can do it, great. If you can't, then I start to question why you are not in control of your bodily functions, which is never a bad thing. You get the drift. Lovely. Okay. So we train. All you've done there is you've done a bit of stepping, all of you guys, and you've listened really well. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to give you some techniques. Michael's avoided. Is it patience, Michael, that you've avoided today? Mr. Delgado, Michael Delgado, you're a doctor? Are we? Yeah, okay. So you've avoided patience for this. So therefore, I need to give you something to focus on. So here we go, guys. Are we ready? Let's see what we've got. Good, good, good. And I'm watching Michael straight away. I want to see that foot change, Michael. There we go. Yeah. Put right leg forwards as well. Rupert's just going for it. I'm going to call you Rupert for now. And Michael, put your right leg forward. Change your leg, Michael. There we go. Whoa. Ah, now then. You see, you didn't need to pull your trousers up when you turned, did you? That's when you're going to get attacked. Oh, yeah. Whoa, whoa, moving back. Whoa, apple them. Boom, in. That's it. Yes. Rupert, you step back. That was great. As soon as you step back, you get back in. Boom, boom, boom. If you step back and you step back again, no, no, no. We don't do it a second time. We step back once. We don't step back twice. Nice grimace there, Nick, like that. Arr. That's it. If I get close, you go for it. That's it, Michael. Liking it. Oi, have one of them. Oi, straight up. Lovely. Yes, nice. What have we got? Nick, have one of them. Beautiful. You look like gosh, can't remember his name now. LaRusso. Danny, no, what was his name? You know, what's, yes, the Cobra Kai fella. Anyway, you know what I mean. Just realised, anyone watching this on catch up, apologies for chatting to everyone. Yeah, that. Yes. Remember, the wooden dummy's got 3 arms. That means every time you've got contact with 2 of them, there's one you don't have contact with. That's the same principle in sparring. So when you block this one, there's probably something else you're not covering as well. Michael, change your leg. It's okay to move a little bit. And stand square on as well. Stand even. Hey, don't want any trouble. You got your hands up. Take one of those down the middle then. Yeah. Rupert, good action. Yeah. Oh, have that. That'll do. Oh, I like it. Yes. Okay, guys, we'll stop there for a sec. Go for it, Nick. Right, hands out. We are going to do a little bit more. Just while your hands are out, trying to calm the situation down. Don't have your hands too far back. Again, remember, we're not on Broadway. Bring your hands forwards a little bit, not too far out, or they might get grabbed and you might get pulled in. Plus, you've got very little room left. So somewhere in between. We're looking at defense against the jab. I want to look at this one again. That's it, Nick. Yep. Which means, whichever hand I come in with, I want you to try and pack that particular arm. You're going to move a little bit as well. Don't worry too much about the big turn, all this kind of thing, because it's more like you're kind of checking a little bit like a parry. And as soon as you touch it, you leave it. As soon as you use it, lose it. So touch, boom, forwards. Touch, boom, forwards. We looked on this before. That's it, Nick, yeah? So we're going to tap and forwards, tap and forwards. Don't tap forwards. All right, that's not the idea, because at this point, I'm still trying to diffuse it. I'm genuinely trying to calm the situation down. Somebody launches a punch forward, boom, you tap it, and then you go forwards. We're not going forwards as the aggressor on this first move. Hands up. That's nice and even. That's it, Rupert. Lovely. Straight away, as soon as you're in. Hey, if I hold it out, you pack and you still go forwards. If I jab and pull back, you forwards and back. Okay, hands out, you're just doing just the one move. If I jab and jab again, then your follow-up will intercept that. You're not going to pack twice. You're going to pack and you're going to go forwards. So if I jab and you pack, you go forwards, that will intercept the second jab. Are we ready? And if I feint, whoop, you go forwards anyway. That's my bad. Hands up. Which side am I going to come in from? And as soon as you tap, you go forward. Forward to back. Very good. Same principle. Wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. As soon as you touch, you forward. Touch and forward. Straight away. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as I move. That's it. Yes. Don't think about it. I want you like a coiled spring at this point. As soon as I move, which hand are you going to attack? Faster, faster, faster. You did your pack, but then you kind of froze a little bit. As soon as you touch, you're off. That's fine. You were on the inside on that one, Michael. Doesn't matter. Most important thing is we don't change our mind. Straight in. That's it. Yes. Michael, you're not a sitting duck. You're trying to let me off here. If I then flinch, you go. That's it. And forward. Not just the pack. Not just the pack. This is a point. You're trying to calm it down. You're trying to diffuse it. Nothing to diffuse. Now it's engaged. So you go. You go. Don't change your mind, Nick. So if I lunge, if I jab, doesn't matter. If I double jab, if I 1-2, same. If I flinch, same, go forward. Michael, you got to go then, coil spring. I think you need some WD-40 there. Ready? Excellent. Okay, well done everyone. That's really good. Hey! Got you there, Rupert, I think. Great, okay. Any other questions? Anything else that we are curious about? Michael, Rupert, we getting all right with a 50-50 on the weight, on the turns? Yeah, cool. Let me just have a few tan and punch with you, if you will, guys. It's tan and punch, called tan da, basically turning tan and punch. Fairly simple, fairly basic to some, not everyone, but super important, because if you can do that, then we can start evolving it and all the rest. But I just want to look at some really simple techniques. To get started, then I'll do it mirrored with you. If you put a right tan out in front of you, and from there, we're going to turn, and remember, tan cell blocks on the outside, so we're going that way. That's your thumb direction. So we're going to turn tan and punch. And if we're feeling a bit kind of uncertain about our stance, you can stay upright a little bit to gain comfort. Michael Delgado, that's a good stance. I like that. Yeah, just a little bit of a thing there. You've sat back, not much, but that's enough. But you just kind of put your head forward. Make sure you keep the head out of the way. That's the important bit. Keep your chin up. From there then, let's get into this. We're going to look at our tan cell hand. We know that's going to become a punch. Don't take your eyes off that hand until it finishes to the punch. So that's it, Rupert. Looking at that left hand. Look at your left hand, nothing else. And keep staring at that left hand. I see you peeking at the screen. Keep looking at that left hand until it finishes now as a punch. Look at the right hand, stare at that until it finishes as a punch. Because we know that we will allow the other hand to open. Sometimes if we're learning a technique in any early days, I know you've been doing this a while, all you guys, but if you're looking at learning a new technique in the early days, that doesn't mean, incidentally, as in like early days is day one. It means you're still evolving on that particular technique. Those early days could take years on something, perhaps, I don't know, but hopefully not when we're looking at this together. Give it that respect. So we're going to look, this is a good tip. I'm going to look at my open hand. I'm telling myself that's going to be the punch, and I'll follow it through to the punch. Only then will I look at the other side. Techniques, difficult techniques, early days, what I'm talking about there is if we think of both hands, two techniques, that becomes complex. Think of one hand only. So I'm looking at my open hand, that then goes for the punch. Look at the open hand, that goes for the punch. Look at the open hand, that goes for the punch. So whether you know this or not, so you're looking at the open hand, go for the punch. Look at the open hand, go for the punch. Just watching what you guys are doing. Look at the open hand, go for the punch. And if you, all right, we'll relax for a sec. If anyone's watching this on catch up, this is going to seem mega basic. One of the things that I try and do as well is within these sessions is I like to try and teach you how to teach as well. You know, this isn't just for like the beginners. I like to think that anyone can get things out of these sessions, you know, experienced practitioners, seasoned veterans. I love that phrase. Instructors, you know, you might find, oh, that's an interesting way of approaching this. So if you do find someone that's struggling with this, you know, it's not a bad technique to know, to look at that hand and follow that through to the punch. And then I'm going to follow through to the punch. In the UK, if you're having driving lessons or even or certainly driving test, when the examiner is sat next to you and they're watching you, they like to see that you're using your mirror. You know, they like to see that you're checking a mirror signal, maneuver, all this. You know, I'm going to check the mirror, then I'll indicate, then I'm out. But they don't want your eyes moving across. It's like some big theatrical move. You know, while you're driving, they like you to kind of look at the mirror. I'm back. Look at the mirror. They want to see your head move. You know, so you might feel really silly. I think so. Anyway, I can't remember. It's 30 years since I did mine. So I'll be looking across and then back. Big old moves, huge moves. Allow yourself that kind of dramatic, theatrical movement initially. If anyone is ever struggling with this, so look at that hand, clearly look at that side, and then follow that through to the punch. Turn my head clearly. Follow that through to the punch. Turn my head clearly. Added to that, the click method. Imagine that someone's taking photographs of this for a book. So I'm going to look at that hand and I'm going to wait until he says click, okay. Then I'll follow through to the punch and I'm going to wait for the click and the okay before I turn my head again. Because otherwise what happens, we get confident, we get faster, we make mistakes and we find ourselves back in the same position again. So never sacrifice technique for speed or power. And that's a key element with this. Right, shall we have a little bit of virtual Chi-Sao? We've not done this for a while. Michael, I don't know if we've done much of this. Quite simply, we're going to roll Tannenbaum, thinking the most simple thing with this, elbows highest and lowest position. We're going to roll with this. Do make sure your arms cross. Remember the ball principle? I don't have a ball, but I do have the hedgehog. It's not real. But with this, what I can do is just keep that position and rotate in the same position. If I can do that, then I know that I'm keeping this same shape. Yeah, Nick, I'm just watching yours. Keep this as boring as mine. You see, with open hands, my palms are facing toward each other, very much so. What you're doing is you're putting a little bit of flamboyance on the hand, which means it's actually changing shape en route. So keep this really boring. Just think high and low, high and low, high and low. Whenever we're doing techniques in virtual Chi-Sao, we're going to use the bottom hand. So if it's a Tan, I turn to defend. If it's a Pak, I will Pak Faksao. If it's a Gum, I will Gum and punch. If it's a Bong, what I want from here is the bottom hand continuing round to Bong, Lap Faksao. So the bottom hand will continue round, Lap Faksao. Easy. And if it's a Gan, the bottom hand will press down and we turn to that particular side. If it was a Kwun, we will press down and turn to the Kwun side. So this is a simple way of trying to use these techniques. We'll have a little play. And again, it's virtual, but same with the sparring. What is sparring but you reacting to whatever's coming in a particular area? So we don't have the contact, we don't have the danger. But what we do have the mental agility still being used, and that's the same with the Chi-Sao. If I come in with a strike or make you defend, you're still going to need that connection immediate. So off we go. Rupert, a little bit if you can, just bring the hands a tiny bit further forwards in front of you, and that's going to encourage that Tan. Because if we only think of the hands, we don't kind of do anything without elbows. So excellent, and we're rolling. Tan, it's just turn and back. So with the Tan, we're just defending against a turning punch. Tan, so all I'm going to do is turn and back. So freeze, just stop there. And if you'd heard the Tan, you just go into where your thumb is pointing. Yeah, we're going to turn and back. But we're not going to open up, we're not going to change anything, we're just going to turn the whole body, or turn the body as a whole. That's what we're after with this. Tan. And of course you can, well, we've got a few little hiccups going on here from a few of you. What we can do with this is just keep this nice and simple, nice and slow. You don't have to go fast. If you are very confident with this, then you can pick the pace up, but just keep nice and steady for now. Pak. So we Pak and Faksao. And ideally we would step forwards when we Pak to pin the arms, Pak. So we're going to Pak and Faksao. Tan. You can watch this on catch up and have another little play at it. Gan. So drop and turn. And back. Kwun. So press and turn. Kunso is tan and low bone. Excellent. Cow sow. So we're going to scoop and force. Excellent. Cow sow. Scoop and forward. Gum. Press down and forwards. Pack. Bong. So what we're seeing here is as we're coming down to the turn, bong will remain and the lap will continue. So we're not using the bong, we're attacking from the bong. Pack. Turn. Gum. Pack. Turn. Cow sow. Kwun. Pack. Turn. Gum. Turn. Pack. Pack. Bong. Bong. Reason for doing that, if somebody's pushing against your arm, bong. I'm going to allow this to come in and we're going to lap it. Garn. Kwun. You could keep this tight or you could make it big if you wish. Kwun. That was it. Yeah, Rupert. Yep, it's all good. Tan. Tan. Tied yourself up interestingly there. I saw that. Pack. Nick ended up being all, what's happened there? Just trapped yourself. That was good. Gum. Pack. Bong. Kwun. Pack. Kwun. Gum. Tan. Cow sow. And pack. Cool. And relax. Lovely. Well done. Good, good, good. We've not done that one for a little while. In a class situation, I kind of like to try and cover 4 areas, usually forms, drills, cheese out, and street work. So we've obviously gone through quite a bit on the drills side of it, looking at the Biu Mar, bit of sparring, bit of street, bit of free flow there, and some cheese out. Can we squeeze in a Sulam Tao? Let's have a little Sulam Tao together. We won't go super slow with this, but it'd be nice to get one in as well. I will remind you again, I'm going to do this mirrored. So this is your left side. So feet together then, guys. And it's going to be your right fist in your left hand. Excellent. Little nod of the head. And knees, toes, heels. Cool. Left on top. Keep the left on top. Good. And back. Left fist. Circle all the way around, fingers splayed, squeeze, little finger first, tight fist, then relaxed, then pull back. Right fist ready, not close to the body to start. Gently lock, bend the wrist, get a full stretch. They're not much of a technique, but if you do it after every move in every hand form, it pays dividends in the long run. So open the hand, fingers relaxed, and begin the pendulum swing of your upper arm. When your upper arm gets vertical, then we start increasing the energy. Slowly on the change. And remember at the end, we're going to have that little press down and forwards with the wrist. Coming back, make sure all your thought is on the elbow, pulling back and down. That's why the hand is getting dragged down. And when it feels it's about to get dragged off center, we stop, we change, slowly again. And we start pushing forward with the elbow. Always about the elbow. That's why it's called little idea, thinking of only one thing. So for this position, if your elbow is pulled in, you're going to allow it to relax out as you point the fingers down, lift the fingers, press with the heel. And change for a second of 3 foot sounds. Again, if the elbow was pulled in, we're going to allow it to relax out. We're not going to hold it in, we're not going to encourage it out. Just allow it to go where it wants. If it's not comfortable, it's not right. So again, the elbow is getting pulled down, down, down. When I feel it's about to get dragged away from center line, I'll change. And I think this is our third and final foot sound. So we'll keep our chin up and our shoulders down. And back. Relaxed. Back. Center. Palm. Heel of the palm would be striking on the top lip. So at this point you can't see your face. When you level, then you do. Squeeze, relax, and back. Right hand open. And again, fingers splayed, all comfortable. The thumb is tucked in at the side. As you start to swing out, we start to encourage the elbow energy. Rupert, just relax your fingers a little bit. They look like they're stuck together. That's, yeah. They just look like they're kind of pinched together. If we end up doing that, we put too much tension in the hand, and that results in us having too much focus on the hand, taken away from the elbow, which is the point of the form. Change, foot sound number 1. Michael, your shoulders are nice, Delgado. Your shoulders are good, got good position, posture there. That's all good. I just noticed one thing on your change. Don't do your snappy changes. Try and do this slowly. If we go into a snap, if you had built energy, you'll lose that feeling. So that's why I want to keep that. When we come back here then, at this point, think of keeping the wrist where it is, roll the fingers down, and then allow that scoop to continue. And that allows a nice kind of flow to the whole thing. What happened last time there, Michael, you came back and then boom, it sort of fell to the side. And that takes us off of that flowing side of the form. We're going to change now one last foxtail, our third and final foxtail. And I saw that again, Michael, go forwards with this one, not off to the side. That's it. It'll just allow a nice tight flow. Sometimes what happens, if you drop to the side, your base knuckle is now over here. And so the first part of that is you actually pulling outwards. If you roll forwards, we stay on that center line, on that path, all the way through it. So that's why we're opting for that. And again, if I've pulled my elbow in, I'm not going to resist. I'm not going to encourage. I'm just going to allow the elbow to go where it's comfortable. And we're going to come back. Last time, we're coming back with the elbow in charge. This is the engine. That's just the steering wheel. So don't put too much thought in your hand. Relaxed. And pack, center, palm. Level, circle, squeeze, and relaxed and back. Second section. Left, ready, lower down, and energy at the end, not lifting before to generate any power. Prepare the right, down, energy, lift, round to the back, round to the front, show the palms, that relaxes your shoulders and traps, forwards. Keep your elbows where they are, left on top, double Lansau, make sure no dangly thumbs on this, double Faxau in your peripheral vision, and then coming back right on top, and again, drop your arms down. Rolling in and round, we have jump. I'll do this on the side so you can see. Turn, tiny move, jut, tiny move, and then think of the elbows thrusting forwards from there. Don't try and get to center at any point. Pull the hands back, move down, point the hands down, move up, and back. Third section, left side, pack, side palm. Just 2 moves. You saw that, Rupert? You don't normally do that. That was a first. I've not seen you do that before. We have 1, 2. Beautiful. There he is. He's back. And left side again. Down. Drop. Scoop across the body to center, but not past. Circle the hand to side palm. Slide. Energy. Gently lock and lift from the tricep. Relax to the back. Down. Drop. Scoop to center, but not past. Circle the hand. Slide down. Energy. Gently lock and lifting straight up center. Bong. Rotating at the wrist. Tansau. Toksau. Level. Lift. Then circle. If you get all those 5 little elements, you've got precision. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then begin the circle. Remember, splay your fingers when you're doing that close. And left arm drifts towards center and in. Keeping a good bend. Right hand on the base of the forearm. 1 to center. 2 to center. 3. Left fist ready. 1, 2, 3. Pulling back. Lock your arm. Circle. Squeeze. Relax. And back. Left leg to right. And right fist in your left hand. Guys, brilliant. Really well done, everyone. Really good. If there's any things there, any little elements that weren't so good, always positive. That just means great. I'm going to focus on that for you next week. Nick, yes, please.
Can I give you one last question?
Yes, of course.
I'm feeling, when I'm coming out with that ton, I'm feeling that if I overextend, I feel a loss of energy.
Yes.
Is that where my stopping point is?
Well, the tan. Right. Okay. I got to be careful not to go on one ear too much. Tansau, if we're looking at this kind of your default setting, is going to be middle finger on center, the hand level with the upper chest throat area, and the elbow about a fist away from the body. But this can extend to like 2 fists, really. Sometimes we could sort of explain this a little bit like, well, the tan is 1 fist away and the punch is 2 fists away, which means that you've always got like that little element of driving power for the punch. So you keep your tan and punch, your tanda, when you do this, really tight. Sometimes it's nice to give yourself a little bit of artistic license, and because 2 objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. So as the punch is coming in, allow yourself to move around to catch that and in, to catch and in. Sometimes allowing yourself that. But if you kept it really tight, what would be happening here is almost like a forwards and back. So this is kind of your default setting, but we know that tan can be higher, lower, left, right, we can turn, step, all these things with it. But what is it? If you feel that there's energy is equal to changing rate of momentum. Okay, so if I throw something out and then suddenly it stops, that's a change of rate of momentum. So that's the difference like between driving a car through a bale of hay and it slows down gradually to a brick wall where it stops instantly. The difference with this is when we're moving out with power, this is you applying slow, forceful, continuous energy in this sense. So this is a different feeling. So if we were in chi sao, someone's pushing, I'm going to push, 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 and that's where it will stop, because I don't need to go further. So the kind of energy that you're feeling when you're pushing and you're going beyond that fist distance is not only feeling a bit different to you, or I think you would as a loss of energy, but it's also a loss of purpose. It's unnecessary. I would throw this out if I was attacking. I would throw this out. Oh, jeepers creepers! If I just chuck this out as a panic block and I throw the damn thing out. But if I'm using it as a continuous, progressive pressure, then I would know my limits, and that's as far as I would stop anyway. So the fact that you want to get to that point and you're comfortable with it is actually great. The fact of you then wanting to maintain that and go further, well, it kind of goes out of its realms of necessity at that point, and therefore, you know, your ability to apply power in an area where power is not applicable, it becomes a lost cause. So the fact that you are feeling it doesn't feel like as strong there and you're losing power is good. Should you be searching for extra power at that extra range? No, not really, because we can apply that in a quick, fast twitch fiber kind of spasmodic boom reaction, boom, to block quite far out. That is absolutely fine. Boom, boom, chucking it out. Again, something that is going to be maintained and progressive and pushing, boom, 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 boom. That's as far as you want to go anyway. So we're not really going to need to go beyond that. So I think it's great that you've had that observation and that you're aware of it, because what you're actually just discovering there is your boundaries and knowing how far I can push. Because at that point then, this is why we have our stance. This is why we have footwork. I'm going to move it back, because the idea is Wing Chun is a form of Chinese boxing. Chinese boxing is not a style, it's a principle. It means fast hands, strong legs. So any system that has fast hands and powerful kicking techniques, provided it's from China, is Chinese boxing. And the idea is that if I get to this point and I push, 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 and that's as much as I can muster, I don't then more, and I've overcommitted. I then refer to my legs, and my legs will push, and that's where the Biu Mar comes in, because no man's arm is going to be as big as your leg. And that's the thing. And if it is, run. There's your top tip. So the idea is that we know our limits. I'm going to push, 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 push. I get to that point. I don't feel like I can push any further and keep safe. So I'm going to use my stance to push away as well. Or we have a combination of the two. And that's how and why we use stances in particular ways. So yeah, it's kind of, it's like running out of one particular seasoning and topping it up with something else, you know. So it's yeah, a great alternative, as it were. That's a good question. It's an even better answer. Guys, thank you so much. So good to see you, and we'll see you later in the week, I hope. Thank you, guys. Stay safe and keep training. Thank you so much.